So hello and welcome to the first round of a new series here in the world of Track Stars. We are going endurance. And we are doing so with the Track Stars Endurance Series, taking a page out of the book of WEC, or indeed the Le Mans 24-hour race. We have multi-class GT and prototype racing here for you this evening in Australia, this morning for myself here in the UK. As you can see, the Group 1 and Group 3 cars sharing space here today, and what a race this is going to be. 4 hours of Monza, split into two different 2-hour races with a pair of drivers, one driver in each race. Here is It's Racing in the Aston Martin. So the It's Racing camp settling for a GT class entry. And here's just some of the drivers that will be towards the front in the prototypes. Let's give you a rundown of the cars available to the drivers in this series. So we have, of course, the Group 1 cars and the Group 3 cars. As I said, we've got two Group 1 cars, the Porsche 919 Hybrid and the Toyota TS050 as well. So essentially the battle that we had back in 2017 in the World Endurance Championship before Porsche pulled out the following season. In the prototype class. And then we have the GT class, where we have Aston Martin's V12 Vantage, the BMW M6, the Corvette C7, the 458 Italia Ferrari, and the Porsche 911 RSR. Hard tyres only in the series. Tyre wear and fuel wear both on ×2, so it should be fairly realistic in terms of stint length and the like. Very much looking forward to seeing what everyone can do. Here's Puntz rocking kind of a classic Toyota TS010 livery. The first TS marked Toyota prototype in the early 90s, the kind of last of the Group C's for Toyota, although they did make some later cars such as the 94 CV, but the TS010 was their first all-new clean slate Group C car. Let's see what the Porsche can do in the hands of Brandosa across the line. It's a 1:35.279, the benchmark. What can QE do? And little Blacko behind him as well. Across the line they go. There's not a better time for either of them. QE across the line, as is Puntz. Puntz's lap went sour somewhere there. First of the GT cars coming across the line. It's Jaxi in the M6. Across the line he goes. I believe it's S1 Shiza with the benchmark there for the GTs on lap 1. The Porsche 911 RSR being pushed hard there in quali trim. That livery looks somewhat inspired by the KCMG colours from the Real Life World Endurance Championship. Brocco Lilly in the M6, doing some curb hopping there, and rather gets caught out, I think. Just maybe trying to follow the higher downforce prototype car. Compromised a couple of other runs there. Good to see SLM the Kazi 1 there back out on circuit with us, and here's Miquez as well. Lots of familiar faces taking in the challenge of this 2-hour race and the one that follows. Good morning to GTFU Racing. Those are some of my racing friends here in the UK. Some great series run by them, and good to see guys awake and ready to go. We do indeed have some multi-class racing today with GT and prototype categories. There's Speedy Tyres in the Porsche. Let's see what kind of time Speedy Tyres gets. It's P4 last time across the line. Doesn't improve. Goes into the pits, has damage in fact, so something's gone awry there. Meanwhile, It's Racing off camera has moved to a 1:49.6 in the Aston, so the Aston has moved to the head of the order in the GT class for the time being. Oh, little Blacko caught out there, as is so easily done. 2 corners in a row having some issues there. Has gone grass tracking. Of course, the Rally Monza was won by a Toyota back in December. However, I don't think that was quite what he was looking to emulate on that occasion. Let's see what kind of lap time Brandosa gets now. 1:35.2 is his best, and is still the best that anyone has got in the session by some 9/10 of a second. Crosses the line now for a 35.3. Look at how consistent these laps are. 35.279, 35.399 and 35.325, all within 0.2 of a second. 3 consecutive flying laps. That is boding exceedingly well for his efforts in this race. Robosport in the Toyota TS050 car number 20, just coming across the line now. Crosses the line for a 1:36.736, so not an improvement. Little Blacko's 22 car, meanwhile, fires itself out of the first chicane. Racing again, doing very well and improving on his times. Here's Devlin Calypso in car number 90. A little bit off the pace at the moment. It's got 3.7 seconds to find. There's some GT traffic to contend with as well. Here's It's Racing then, the fastest of said GT traffic. The green and white, this is the current signature of the It's Racing squad. Looking great on the Aston V12. The older Vantage, the Mark I Vantage. Cars dating back as far as late 2004, early 2005 on the road, the V8 Vantage. V12 was then introduced for 2009. And was taken to the racetrack in the 2012 season as a GT3 car. Went on to have a very successful 7-year tenure as the Aston Martin GT3 car. Of course, also achieved success in V8 configuration at the Le Mans 24 Hours in the World Endurance Championship. Mark I Vantage in its various guises, one of the most successful Aston Martin racing cars you could name. On the brakes. And into Parabolica, that exits stage left with 43 seconds to go. Devlin Calypso. Going to make his way through some traffic there, a bit wobbly. Bearing down on Kazi 1. Looks a bit understeery there as he comes out of the final corner. Sure enough, across the line for a 47.8, so the lap time's not really coming. Brandosa, meanwhile, on a 34.998, but a 34.889 last time by for Blacko has him on the provisional pole position. A think Brandosa is going to get one more lap out of this. Little Blacko is on a lap as well. Let's see whether this is another improvement for the 22 car. It is a 34.499. I had a feeling that Little Blacko had something left in the tank, and there it is. But just 0.02 of a second off his pace is Punts. The 32 car goes within a blink, effectively, of pole position. That's going to be a little bit irritating for him. Let's see what Brandosa can do on this final lap. He's got some traffic. We saw he had some traffic at the first chicane. He's got some traffic now, some faster moving traffic in the form of Devlin Calypso in the Toyota. What can the Porsche driver Brandosa do? He was on the pole slot for a majority of the session to this point, but now that looks like it could be under threat. Brandosa, I don't think this is a particularly impressive lap. 34.6 from Speedy Tyres, goes third place on his final lap, and still 3 cars within 1/10 of a second. This is boding very well for the competitiveness of the race. Here comes the 34 car once again out of the final corner. I don't think it's going to be an improvement. It is not an improvement. So Brandosa going from holding what looked like pole position for a majority of the session, now down to 4th position. I think everyone else who can challenge has already crossed the line. It's Racing has completed his laps. Mika is just coming across the line now, but it's not an improvement. Is there anyone else who has not crossed the line? I believe that is everybody, and that is a fully set grid then, effectively. We have just a few seconds before we go racing. It's going to be 2 hours of racing. Nicholas Pautaso on the stream saying he's loving the 99.3 look on Puntz's number 32 car. I massively agree. Absolutely wonderful little livery on that car. So then, we have plenty of time to admire the liveries, but now they'll be driving at a higher speed. 2 hours of racing about to get underway. Though we do have a warm-up lap to contend with first. So do not fear, this is not a standing start for an endurance race. We haven't had our screws knocked that loose. This is just the warm-up. Looks as though Devlin Calypso may not have the idea. Let's just hope he pulls himself back now. Looks like he has done. I do believe he's not a native English speaker, of course, the Belgian driver. I think he was struggling with the driver's briefing a bit, but hopefully he gets himself back into the right place for the rolling start in just a few seconds' time. So this is effectively a warm-up lap. Some picking of favourites going on in the chat. The Gridline boys getting a shout out from Jim Kemp Winchester. Justin Andrew is flexing its racing. Go CP Motorsports, says Chevy Flatstick, and Tom Winder watching from the UK saying go Little Blacko. He is my favourite. So this is the warm-up lap. See them get into 2x2 formation for the start. The top two have rather dropped everyone else. Let's hope they all bunch themselves together and get this underway. Guys are going to need to get this group bunched up. This is unfortunate for Blacko and Puntz because they're now going to have their tyres going cold. Look at this, Blacko all but stopped. Let's hope that everyone's on their brakes. Looks like it might be getting a bit messy. Let's not have damage before the first ever race, guys. Looks like we are now all clear and ready to go. They are in 2x2 formation. And while it's a slightly disjointed grid, it is a grid. And racing is now underway. Little Blacko drops the pin and is underway for the first round of the Trackstars Endurance Series of 2021. 4 hours of racing split across two parts. It's Little Blacko leading the way in car 22. He's followed by Punts and Speedy Tyres. And there's already a moment. RSR Robosport is around at the first chicane. Has backed it into the wall and unfortunately given himself damage. I don't know if he had the damage before, but he certainly has it now. The GT cars are through, so Robosport with damage and a wounded car and a lot of track position lost. That's not an ideal start to the race for him. Rocco Lilly, meanwhile, in 7th place, the leader of the GT car, Xylon, behind him. It's racing under attack from Miquez, and the GTs are running very close. It looks as though It's Racing might be struggling a bit with cold tyres. I fear a few at the front might be as well. It's Little Blacko with a 1.6 second lead. He really took off and left everyone else standing at the start line. Punts then in 2nd place under pressure from Speedy Tyres. Vision, Video and Gaming backing him on the chat. And it is the 32 car that leads the way then, or well, in 2nd I should say, but he has just allowed Speedy Tyres through. Punts with something going on here then. Top 4 rather broken away with this man in a completely different area code at the moment. 2.8 seconds clear already is Little Blacko. Putting in very good drive in the early stages then. Speedy Tyres, Punts and Brandosa fighting there for 2nd place. QE in the 477. Just having to be a little bit careful with the rumble strips. Devlin Calypso in P6. Robosport in 7th place, continuing on despite his damage. I don't think he's visited pit lane. Hopefully it is just minor splitter damage and isn't affecting him too badly. First of the GT cars is now Xylon. So Broccolilli in the M6 has been dropped rather. So then, let's go back to this 2nd place battle. Well, Speedy Tyres is making a break for it. Punts, meanwhile, under pressure from Brandosa. So that number 22 car at the head of the order, Little Blacko, will later be handing over to Lurox 22 for the second 2-hour stint of this Monza 4-hour event. Very much looking forward to seeing how those two combine. A very solid driver lineup, to say the very least. We also have Brandosa's 34 car being taken over later on by Xiaomi 5. The Porsche 919 Hybrid being shared between the two of them. Punts, no prizes for guessing who he's handing over to. Enspud will take the car for the second portion of the race. Speedy Tyres in the 16. He'll be handing over to Huso for part 2. That's what it looks like for the front cars. The GTs, we have It's Racing handing the Aston over to Justin, 9:30 for the second portion of the race. Justin and It's Racing have long been doing endurance racing together. Little Blacko is still leading the way, but look at Speedy Tyres' gap. It's down to 2.4 seconds now. It was 2.8 on just the second lap of the race, so it is actually just narrowing slightly, the gap. Robosport into pit lane, exits again now, so that damage was too much for him. Toyota back out on circuit. Shades of United Autosports LMP2 car, I'd say, in this colour scheme. Devlin Calypso, meanwhile, in car number 90, running a steady pace in 6th at the moment. The all-purple Toyota. Certainly a very almost JGTC-inspired livery, that one. Top 4 looking fairly spread, but all in one pack nonetheless. And Blacko is losing time. It's down to 2.1 seconds now. Across the line with an hour and 50 minutes to go. Interesting to see when the pit stops happen here already. About a fifth of a tank down in the Toyota. Of course, the Monza circuit will be a fuel track more so than a tyre track. Expecting to see not quite 1,000 kilometres of racing, but something close to it at these high speeds. About 750, 800 kilometres at a minimum. Oh, Brandosa there in the gravel trap. Can't afford too many mistakes of that nature. But the EBM, Elite Brake and Mechanical liveried car, fights another day. He was upping his pace, 34.9, his fastest lap of the race last time by. Just pushed the envelope a step too far that time. It's Punts with the fastest lap of anybody at the moment, though. A 34.7. First of the traffic has been discovered. It's Kazi 1 in the SLM Porsche. Makes it fairly easy for him, though. Huey, meanwhile, in the 477. Running a fairly lonely 5th spot at the moment. It's all about consistently putting in the laps. This number 477 car will be taken over by Esmich 84 later. The other factor of the EBM team. Devlin Calypso still there in 6th, Robosport in 7th. Let's keep an eye on this GT battle. It's Xylon in the toll-backed EBM car in 8th position overall. The 47 car doing well at the moment. It's Racing there, as always, backed by Cartel Equipment Hire. The two Astons breaking away somewhat here. We then have the BMW of Brocco Lilly. BMW's fairly handy around this circuit. It does have a straight line speed deficit, but it is very good in the corners, and you can make up a lot of time here, speaking from recent personal experience. S1 Shiza the number 18, followed by Miquez and Jaxi, who is under pressure as the traffic is very much in vogue now. Will it affect this battle for second place? It looks as though Blacko is just building that gap out, 2.1 seconds at the moment. But Speedy Tyres and Punts on the same piece of real estate. They don't usually have to deal with lap traffic, of course. Nothing like this in the Trackstars touring cars. Punts there just getting caught out, finding the Porsche, the Corvette I should say, in the wrong place. This one, Shizza just making it easy, allowing him past. Speedy Tyres getting a good luck of the draw here when it comes to traffic. I think Punts has had it slightly harder. He's dropped 1.5 seconds so far on this lap. In the draft for as long as he possibly can be in car 32. In fact, Speedy Tyres has even gained on Blacko on that lap in the traffic. The line just 1.2 seconds back. Quite the speed differential between the cars. Into the pits with damage is EBM Brandosa. He had front splitter damage. We're talking about how important it is to stay consistent in this race in reference to QE, and well, now he's proven it himself, as he's now ahead of Brandosa, who's one of the quickest drivers out there. With just 15 minutes complete, he's already visited the pit lane. Devlin Calypso through the chicane, punches the throttle out of the corner, just goes past one of the GT Porsches, Benjo. We'll see what kind of time for Robosport's doing. He's well into the 136s as of recent times. Doing too badly. Hopefully he can keep things on the straight and narrow and build for not just the rest of his race, but of course his teammates to come. Blacko building that gap yet again at the front of the order. 22 car. Of course, little Blacko for Robosport Racing along with Larox 22, combination from the Trackstars Touring Cars series. One of the best driver combinations we see in the world of Trackstars. Can confirm based on the chat, hello to Dutch. Yes, it is only hard tyres, fuel and tyre wear both on 2X, I believe. An hour and 43 minutes to go, and it is Little Blacko in the 22. Just controlling things, you rather get the impression at the moment. Of course, the GT cars are still effectively in one clump around the circuit, so that means that once they are clear of the traffic, they can remain clear of the traffic for a little while, but as the race progresses, they're going to have to start dealing with the traffic pretty much every